Hello, I'm Mark Mattioli, and welcome to another reading of my novel Boston Accent. Boston Accent is available on Amazon.com, and I strongly urge you to buy the book, and then we can read along together. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. Actually, if you bought the book, you could read ahead because this is going to take a long time, and you'll probably find a segment in the book that you like for whatever reason, and I'm trying to get some people to do some readings of their own from the book and post them. We got a lot of shy people out there. I don't remember my friends, people that I used to raise holy hell with, as being shy, but so for some reason it's just not happening. Come on. So pick up the book at Amazon.com, read ahead, and post a reading. Come on, get involved. And Amazon, Boston Accent is an adult read. It is mature subject matter. Okay, we wasted enough time on that happy horse shit. Let's read the book. We start a new chapter, chapter 7. Woo! The post-college years, 1977 through 1979. I finished out my school year by making the dean's list as planned and set out to find a job for the summer. I couldn't find anything related to my associate's degree, so I applied for a position I found interesting, which was working for one family in 3 different houses on the South Shore of Boston as their gardener, housekeeper, handyman, and chauffeur. The family consisted of 2 brothers, their wives, kids, and the parents of the 2 brothers, each in their own home respectfully. The families would share my services, and each day I would report to a different house as needed. The family was wealthy due to investments the father had made, and the sons joined this multi-million-dollar organization. They called themselves Victory Enterprises, and they lived very well. The 2 sons had historical homes 5 miles apart in the town of East Horton, where I had lived till I was 7. The parents lived in a replica castle on the oceanfront town of Clawson, which bordered East Horton. I didn't mind my duties for the most part. I just didn't care for my employers, who went out of their way to let me know that we had a strict employee-employer relationship and we would never be friends. Bottom line, they treated me like shit, but I needed the money. The younger brother and his wife treated me a little better than the others, and so I was happy on the days I got assigned there. The younger brother was very nerdy, but had somehow managed to land himself a very attractive wife. I don't suppose his bank account had any influence on her decision to marry him. My duties at their house, for the most part, were landscaping, so I got to be outside getting some sun. While I was working in the yard, a private contractor was restoring their house and barn, which dated back to 1680. I have a strong interest in history and artifacts from days gone by, and one of my duties was to landscape behind the barn, which was a dump site in the 1800s. I would find little cork bottles in pristine shape and take them home with me. There was no way I was going to share my finds with the owners. The contractor was a handsome, rugged man in his 30s named Zach. That reminded me of Robert Redford. I soon found out from discreet observations that Zach and the missus had a thing for each other that was openly displayed when the mister was at work. One particular hot summer day, I decided to report to the house an hour earlier than scheduled, so I could finish my duties sooner and go for a swim with Rachel. I didn't see that it mattered, as I was told the day before what I would be doing. I parked on the street, as I did at all 3 homes, and walked into the driveway. The younger brother's car was gone, indicating he'd left for work. I knocked lightly on the kitchen door and entered without saying anything to put my brown bag lunch in the refrigerator like I did every morning I was assigned here. I then hear the floorboards upstairs squeaking, as they do in these old houses, as someone approaches the stairs. Then I hear the missus say, "Do you want some coffee, or can I interest you in something else?" As she comes down the stairs, fresh out of the shower, with a towel around her that she is wearing more like a cape than for modesty. I'm pretty sure she was expecting someone else, as she made a too late effort to adjust the towel while barking at me. "What are you doing here? You don't start for another hour." I said, "Sorry, it's going to be 90 degrees today, and I want to leave early." The missus is still halfway down the stairs, holding the towel up in front of her, and unknowingly still bare from the waist down as she barks at me again. "Don't change your hours without checking with me first, and announce your presence when you come in here." I walked to the edge of the stairs and said, "No problem, it won't happen again." The whole time, I'm not looking at her face. The missus turns and heads up the stairs, and I spot a butterfly tattoo on her right ass cheek, and I say, "Papillon, I love that movie." The missus turns to face me from the top of the stairs as I am still taking in the view and says, "Out. Get out." I wave and say, "Enjoy the rest of your day." I fly out the door, and I'm laughing as soon as I hit the corner of the house, when who pulls in the driveway but Zach. I stop to greet him as he frowns and says, "You're early." And I tell him, "I'm starting early, leaving early." Still frowning, he asks if the missus is up, and I tell him, "Oh yeah, she's waiting for you," and I wink at him. As I walk away, I begin to sing the lyrics from an Elton John song. "Butterflies are free to fly, fly away, high away." So you didn't know I sang too. Cost extra. I will bet my paycheck that Zach has not moved. If you were to ask any of my friends where we spent most of our time in the mid to late 70s, I think they would all have the same answer. In our cars. We were all still living with our parents, and we would spend all our free time looking for somewhere to park where we could socialize without anyone bothering us. The other thing we shared in common was the high number of cars we went through during that time period. Brett's father was a used car salesman, and as fast as Brett would wreck them, his father would have another one ready for him. Kevin held the record for pink slips with 13 vehicles in 4 years, of which he paid the excise tax on none of them. One night he got pulled over in South Boston for a busted taillight. When they ran a check on him, they discovered all his unpaid excise taxes and warrants. He spent the next 72 hours in 4 different jails in 4 different towns. When a town was done processing him, another town would come pick him up. One night when we were down the bogs, Brett was trying to turn around in a tight area in between 2 irrigation canals, and he misjudged how much room he had behind him. The car went down an embankment backwards into the shallow canal. He had a car full of people. I remember the people in the back seat saying, one minute we were looking out the window at the reservoir, and the next minute all we could see was the sky. It took 2 tow trucks to get his car out, but he was able to drive away with just a few bogweeds hanging off his bumper. I myself went through my share of vehicles, including a 1957 Pontiac ambulance I bought for $200. The car was mint. It just needed brakes and an exhaust. The brakes are repaired, but the exhaust I blew off, and I still regret it to this day. One night I swung by Kevin's to pick him up and take him down to a local hangout, and the kids were crawling all over the ambulance. They thought it was the coolest thing they'd ever seen, and a couple of guys made offers on it, which I rejected. While we were parked, the cops pulled in and told us all to go somewhere else. When I started the ambulance, they heard a loud exhaust and gave me a verbal warning to repair it. We leave, and I headed back to Kevin's when I see flames reflecting in the rearview mirror, and I yell, "We're on fire!" Kevin and I jump out and run from the car. I'm looking at the car, and I see flames where the exhaust manifold connects to the motor. I run back to the car and pop the hood. As soon as I lift the hood, flames shoot up in the air. Kevin and I start grabbing handfuls of dirt off the side of the road, throwing them on the burning motor. The fuel line was melted by the exhaust manifold, causing the fire. A neighbor sees the flames and runs out with an extinguisher and puts out the fire, just as the same cop pulls up. One of the cops offers me $100 for it right there. I tell him, "Go shit in your hat." The paint job was damaged and it needed a wiring harness. I sold it for $300 a week later just to make room in my woods driveway for another car. From 1977 through 1979, I almost always had 2 cars in my driveway, one that was registered and one that was for sale. With every new addition, Ralph would come home from work, just stare at my cars in the woods and mutter to himself. I only wish I had room to park a third vehicle. Sean ended up getting his mother's car after he sold me his. His father didn't want them sharing one vehicle, so he bought her a new one. One night, Sean and I were in separate cars, having met at a club in Sedgwick. Kevin was riding with me and Brett was in Sean's car with another guy from our neighborhood named Jeff. We had been checking out a band in the club that wouldn't let us in that same club that they wouldn't let us in on New Year's Eve after our hysterics in the parking lot. It was after 11 p.m. and we were all starving. Someone suggested we hit the sub shop in Marlin that was open until 2 a.m. We were regulars at that sub shop, and the owner knew us well. We only came in late at night, and we were always fucked up. They had a great jukebox across from the counter, and as soon as I placed my order, I would go to the jukebox and play the same song. One night, while I was at a party, and this guy comes up to me and asks how I'm doing, and I said, "Okay, do I know you?" And he said, "I work at the sub shop. Every time you come in, you play One Way Out by the Allman Brothers." I couldn't place him, but he sure knew who I was. Back at the club, Sean and I are getting in our cars, and Brett and Jeff climb in with Sean while Kevin decides to ride with me, same as when we arrived. As we were getting ready to pull out of the parking lot, Sean asked me if I want to race for a sub, meaning if he gets to the sub shop before me, I'm buying. I say, "You're on." We both pull out of the parking lot, tires squealing. Kevin, who is a nervous Nelly anyway, reaches quickly, buckles his seatbelt, and says, "Don't kill us." I just keep an eye on Sean, who's several car lanes in front of me, and suddenly pulls over. I see Brett jump out of the back seat and start puking on the side of the road. I flash my headlights and honk my horn as we pass them. For the rest of the ride, I take my time, and we arrive at the sub shop first and wait for Sean to show up. We wait, and finally give up, go inside, and get our subs. They never do show up, and I give Kevin a ride home as the sub shop closes. The next day, I call Sean to tell him he owes me a sub, and he tells me the reason that they never made it was because he took a fork in the road at a high rate of speed trying to catch me, and the car slid in the sand and hit a pole. Brett's in the hospital with a broken leg, and he's pretty sure the frame on the car is bent. I tell him, "I'm sorry to hear that, but he still owes me a sub." Later that day, I pick up Kevin, and we go to visit Brett in the hospital. Brett's dad was there, and he was bullshit, and he starts in on me as soon as I walk in the door. He was always going on and on about, "You crazy kids need to slow it down." Brett's dad never liked me. As the years went by, I would give him more reason not to. Parents of my friends in general had a problem with me. I was always the practical joker that would take the joke to extremes and go too far. That's usually what I heard. "You've gone too far this time." That would just encourage me to do something bigger. Someone's negative opinion on my twisted sense of humor didn't mean shit to me. Okay, we're going to stop there because we got another segment coming up that's lengthy, and we don't have time to finish it. I'd rather finish what I start. Okay, I got some long-ass stories here. Once again, we're reading Boston Accent, the novel. It's available on Amazon.com. I encourage you to pick it up and read ahead, read along, read to yourself, read out the window of a moving train. I don't care. Just buy the book and participate. Audience participation. Okay? Interaction. All right, join the club. I'll get you a membership. Yeah, we'll drink Bloody Marys together and read the book. All right. Are you motivated? Yeah, I can tell. All right. Mark Mattioli, Boston Accent, Amazon.com. I'll see you soon. Ciao.